This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome back to the BrainTrust. We have with me Dr. Dominic Scott, a good friend of mine, somebody who I have looked up to for a long time, been able to work with. Greatest thing about him is he definitely pretty much served the South Bay for 23 years, Redondo, Manhattan, El Segundo, that entire area. He's heavily involved in the volleyball world throughout his life. His daughter plays in college. Probably one of the most respectful people I know when it comes to balancing work-life balance, and he's a big inspiration for me. He's now in Georgia. He's practicing there, and he's one of the co-authors of Empowered Aging. What I really excited about today, we're going to talk about positioning yourself for success. With all the stuff that's going on in quarantine, I really think that he's a great person to reach out to right now. So, Dom, love you, buddy. Thanks for being on.
Thank you very much, Sean. Much props and respect out to you for how hard you grasped how things work on health, physiology, body mechanics, anything you get your hands on, and you study it and soak it up and share it with others. So it's been a pleasure to be put together in this life together. Look forward to many great things, but thanks for the nice intro.
Absolutely. So let's start with obviously your background. I think it's really important that the audience understands who you are, but more importantly, why family chiropractic is important, or why quarantine, why you make sure you're seeing your chiropractor right now. Talk about what's going on where you're at in Kennesaw and Marietta and like the Cobb County area in Georgia, and then we'll talk a little bit about sports and like how it's affecting, because you have a daughter that was in college that had a season canceled, how you're handling that as a parent as well. So position yourself for success.
Okay, those are let me introduce what I mean by positioning yourself for success, so that we can use that going through all those topics you said, because it does fit. I mean, and is my audio okay? Not too much echo?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It can apply to all those things. It's something I've used to teach to workplace people, because the work environment is like, have the team camaraderie in the business place. We want to work towards success. That's, common thread. You want to position yourself. Now we're thinking, what kind of ladder are we positioning on? I'm going back to no, I mean actual yourself, your body, and changing the position, right?
100%.
People don't know. This is where it comes in. I might get, you can go like this if I need to cool it down a little. But people don't know how much we know. We live in this bubble, Sean, you and I, and our colleagues and so forth, of like how impactful body mechanics are.
Yeah.
Hardwired to the brain. How the brain, correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, the super smarties told me that basically the brain spends more messaging and runs more messaging through our spinal cord for posturing, for positioning ourselves, than all the rest of the stuff put together. Yeah. Is that accurate from your neurology study?
I think there's definitely different opinions on that, but I think that's one that we can grab into, especially within our philosophy, how we live.
Let's do the suffice it to say, not enough people know what joint mechanoreception is, or what receptors of nerve endings are anywhere, whether it's, well, we know about these, we're using them now, we're using receptors, right? I know for sure the neurology people say, hey, the body is receptor driven. Okay, anybody can get that. A nerve ending, you need to receive info. We're seeing, hearing. How does your stomach turn yesterday's burger into new eyeball cells? That's a quote of my wife. She always would say, look at what the body does. We're making new eyeballs all the time.
I like that.
So that stuff's going on.
Eyeball burger?
Yeah.
That's great.
Paul? Did you say Paul Burger?
The Impossible Burger does anything.
Oh, okay, right.
Exactly.
So,
I'm not a comedian.
Just a little premise there, that this whole thing about how important, how vital our skeletal actions are in whole body health. Because if we traffic jam any avenue of brain to body communication, good or bad, all right, fair enough. You're putting traffic where your body could otherwise be dedicating itself to resilience, to fighting cancer on a moment-to-moment basis, to balancing the complex immune system. And lo and behold, in the physiology, it's all interconnected, right?
Totally.
So I just think that's a huge void, that people do not realize that their body mechanics, and the richest part of the mechanics is at the spine, not because we're chiropractors, just because that's how we're built. There's so many nooks and crannies and all those little moving parts. It creates the greatest load on the body neurologically. It creates the greatest release and of interference and restoration of healthy messaging when it is cleared out chiropractically.
And now let's talk about that from the quarantine perspective right now, because I think it's really important what you just said, how we correlate and relate that to staying happy and healthy in quarantine, and more importantly, just yourself for success. So what are things that you're seeing? Obviously, you're in practice right now, and it's really important that people understand that, okay, if I'm dealing with something, I don't have to rush off to urgent care right now. I don't need to go to the emergency room unless it's a major symptom, but how amazing utilizing chiropractic right now is. So talk to them about some of the, physicians in the house and what that might be doing, how you can help them, or, the profession can help them.
Yeah, it's huge. I would love to more than ever right now, have our country, our community of people reap a benefit out of this. And the time is so right for that, because what is going on is once the school system said the kids need to come home from school, right? We had that a couple of weeks ago or more, and everybody's like, what? How are we going to do that? That means parents have to stay home and be with the kids in a lot of cases. So the parents had to move home, and it didn't take long before that was the deal, right? And now it's safe and secure at home, except for necessities and so forth. So people are at home. One good thing I see in my neighborhood, and different than the beach cities, the beach cities, there's people out walking, jogging, running, biking. It has a dense population of people that are in fitness. Here, not as dense of a fitness population, but you know what? People are out in droves. So is it innately they know they need to move? Hopefully, that's fantastic, right? It's a great start. Take that premise that they need to move and bring it back to that the kids are sitting at home. Their school takes them, they're supposed to be in for the morning and then do homework the remaining part of the day. If they used to be 8 to 3, now they're 9 to 12 and hopefully some more stuff, right? But for the student and the parent working at home now, they have the option to not be in that cubicle, executive desk, whatever version they had, not even in their car anymore, right? They're at home. But what I think is happening most often is people are going, I can log on in my bed. It's 9, the students are logging in, whatever it may be. This is the opportunity where they could be changing the positioning in their body like never before. Plenty of the people in the corporate working world, I'm sure, have raised the question of like, and this is, and it's coming up more and more. Is my position, do I need ergonomics, right? That's been in the workplace considerations for at least 20 years now, ergonomics. You get to choose your ergonomics at home for your kids who are formative body parts and for yourself. But I think people are just getting through and not realizing that it is putting a huge health burden on them that otherwise this time could turn into them changing patterns in the body that were there from the workplace, and they can improve that.
And I love that and I love that you brought that up, because that's something that I've been preaching every day on our morning show, and I'm preaching through this, is how to stay happy and healthy. But people don't realize the gift that they've been given right now. When are they ever going to be told that, hey, you know what, sit still? And not really sit still, we're talking about movement, but I'm like, where you can literally find out your limitations and you have the time to do the corrective exercises that your cryo gives you, or your PT or whoever. You literally have the time. You literally can show up every single day, wake up, dress up, just like you would for work, set a separate place in your house for work. Once you're done, turn it off, go change clothes, go back to a life. So, that's one of the biggest things that I'm seeing, at least within patients and athletes that I'm working with, is they don't have an idea of normality, right? So as a chiropractor and someone who definitely, from the empowered aging, realm, and talking about anti-aging, what are some things and positions that you think are important right now for people at home? Just the average person, and we'll talk about athletes later on in the call, but what are some things that you think are crucial that people should be doing at home right
now? I would like, and I think we have to pick it apart in a future conversation where we could put some imagery up there and so forth like that. But I even tell patients, I go, you have Google Image on your tablet right there. So put it in images mode and put in skeletal system and pick a nice picture that's real clear, screenshot it, and then put in muscular system. Get a picture you like there that has the whole body muscle layout and screenshot that and have those handy. Take a look at how it's supposed to be put together. It's easy to see when you just get some of this awesome technology right in front of you. I would like people to know that the spine has an optimal position, and it's the central skeleton. Again, not just because we're chiros. I didn't call it the central skeleton. We were built that way.
Yeah.
You go to the central most structure first, because the peripheral, by name and duty, is secondary, right? All the primary stuff needs to be addressed. So people don't know that, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle are supposed to be in a line, right? They don't know that. Start there. It's in the skeletal system picture, and then build your workplace for your child or yourself at home with that in mind. It would change dramatically. Let me have room to show you here. Let's see.
Yep.
Right? People doing this, they get a dining room chair. Where are you working at home? Yep. Well, it's a kitchen chair, right? Right? So kitchen chair. If they leaned against the back, that'd already be a good start. But they don't want to do that. They sit on the edge of it, and then they lean into their position like this, right? And for that to be, more impactful to the person watching this and giving this some thought, and the people we're reaching, they got to look at how it's supposed to be. I like the chiropractic biophysics images. If they want to pull that one up, that's really good, because it shows the measured angles of how those are supposed to be, and they can geek out on that a little bit, right?
Well, I think it comes down to two things when we're looking at images. And we need to make sure that one, structural is good, but you're also functional. Like, a lot of people try to make structure without function, and that's a big problem, because if you can't move in patterns and you're trying to force these positions, that's when we have microtrauma. We have all these other problems that happen. And one thing that you showed, especially when you're seated, is that if you're forward on your computer like this, like, one of the biggest things that COVID-19 and coronavirus is attacking is respiratory. And if we go into this forward flex position and we've got this C-shaped, spine, well, that's going to restrict how much oxygen, how much breathing we have, right?
Yeah.
Talk about some of the physiological effects of, like, decreased respiratory and decreased, oxygen in the body, and how that affects, and how the adjustment and how actually the application of what we do in chiropractic actually improves that.
Right. Well, that's a great example, because we're all here. We know that for every inch forward of the should-be midline of the body that the head rides, it dramatizes the weight of the head, affects down the whole spine and the muscle system, by double, basically, by some significant amount. So it's as if we're working here and we have a 12-pound head, it's as if we have about a 60-pound head when we're working with that. Just leaning forward, it's not horrible posture. We see worse, right? We see this one, right? But that load on the area, and of course you gave a good image right there. I'll do the same. The top 4 vertebrae of the spine, right, innervate the respiratory system. Innervate means the nerve source is there. So as we put a double, triple, 5 times load into that area of the nerves that are trying to serve the respiratory function for its constant recreation, its constant adaptation to whatever it's exposed to, let alone what you said, crowding the windpipe, crowding the ability of the rib cage to move smoothly, that's a problem. And it's not a little either, but people, that's one of many things people just don't know, right?
Yeah, and I think the thing is too, is like, when you start to get here, this affects the upper cervical spine. That's where, your brainstem sits. That's the start of the respiratory center. And then that's going to affect other things. And then when we go into this, if you have decreased respiratory, you have increased acidosis. If you have increased acidosis, that causes stress on the system. If that causes stress on the system, cortisol goes up. Well, guess what? That's knocking your immune system down. Right?
Sure. Cortisol and stress. I mean, it's on my topic list over there, because that's part of positioning yourself for success as well, is put yourself in the best case scenario position for the COVID-19. What's happening? The small percentage that fall into the morbidity, meaning more likely to suffer severe or death from this, severe illness, are having compromised health, compromised immune system. So if I want to make a kind of a bolder statement, what's our bold theme statement on this? Because I'm really waiting for this to unfold. I need to see how all these, there's a few more shoes to drop here.
100%. That's why we're doing this, to try to help.
However, though, that part has been consistent. From the get-go, it's said, and can just say, healthy people are carrying this with no symptoms, mild symptoms. Healthy people get through it like a moderate flu, maybe severe flu, and bounce back. I've got a personal friend, longtime person from our church, near 80 years old, been through it on the other side of it. Had to go to a little hospital level, but not days and days.
Well, that's a positive sign, right? So yeah. I think and so, like, the big issue is, this isn't about positioning yourself for success just in quarantine, right? That's the one thing I love about you, Dom, that you have really showcased the life of like when you met your wife and you guys went down to like Panama City, Santa Rosa Beach, and like you got married. She's a chiropractor. Like you've lived this amazing lifestyle. All of your kids are healthy. All of your kids are vibrant. And your activity level from crew to volleyball to your passions, like that's why I wanted to bring you on in this quarantine because, one, you've been a huge motivation to me you're always like, Sean, slow down. Like, you're going to find a wife whenever you can actually like relax and like enjoy life and get, your mind right. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is why I really look up to you because you have a successful marriage. Your kids are super successful and healthy. And, for people that are at home right now, there's a lot of people that, domestic violence is up, abuse is up, child abuse is up, drug addictions are up, alcohol addictions are up. So these are all things that we're dealing with as a society right now that I feel like great practitioners like yourself who have a working formula that actually like is successful, that's what people need to hear. That's what people need to have action items right now. What can I do in quarantine?
Right.
If I can't go out, how can I stay healthy and happy?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, super important when you bring up those other topics of how many aspects of human life, American life are challenged to say the least right now. I mean, the domino effect is substantial, right? And all the things you named about me, I mean, much appreciated, but none of that is comes easy, nor have we mastered any of it. I guess the only thing I continue to circle back to is I seem to get up every day.
That's good.
Like my version of a Groundhog Day, like I can just start it all over again, brand new, see if I could do better. And I feel great about that. I mean, that didn't come from me decidedly necessarily. I mean, I have done a lot of training, and meeting important people in my life, like Dr. Fred Schofield, who's introduced to me by my dad. And, the stuff sinks in if you want it to. So You're paying attention to that. But that is the one thing I have is none of it's easy, but we have to always get back on the horse and be inspired to get on the horse. You have your own version, the things you've done in such a short period of time, to say yes to so many things and pursue them for the betterment of many people that you can reach is equally as great of a path, Sean. So you don't have any catching up to do. We need people like you just as much as the other types that are, you're a rarity. We want teachers and people that reach and teach. It's another volleyball term, reach and teach, baby, right? So that's what we're doing right now. Hopefully we reach some people and make some changes.
Yeah.
I would say let's kind of take what you said before, what we talked about before, and got to now and said, what can somebody do? Simple. We made these points about how valuable the healthy positioning, yes, and the spine, 24 movable segments plus sacroiliac joints, skull balancing on there, and a pelvis. It's supposed to be a moving axial skeleton. That's the next part I love to get to in the picture with people when I speak with them one-on-one or with more visual aids. Yeah, it's supposed to be moving. If it's designed to move and it's not moving, there's a problem, right? So what's the model for training the body? For the athlete or non-athlete? For the piano player? For whatever it is you do, whatever you've trained for, it's repetition over time, right? That's the law for training the body, right? Consciously, relationship-wise, training, reps for the athlete, etc. The body learns. Now, here's the deal with the training model is it happens whether you choose it or not.
Totally.
That means whatever you spend the most hours doing, your body is training in. So even if we're fortunate enough to do a 3-time-a-week gym thing, maybe a 5-time-a-week gym thing, the youth to pro athletes, a lot of times just 6 times a week. But what, a couple hours? Let's go to the average person. If they're lucky, 3 times a week, 2 hours per session at the gym, 6 hours a week. That's good training. I would love to hit that all the time. The sitting time required for the student with in classroom and then at home to do some homework is about 40 with a low end of homework. That's how much they're gonna sit. That's how that pattern will win out on their exercise training, will it not, right?
And even more than that, because they're at home. You know what I mean? These parents don't know how to handle the kids right now. They're not trained. Like obviously, like I was blessed. I went to a bunch of different schools, growing up, but I didn't get to homeschool. And we used to always kind of like make fun of the homeschool kids, right? But, you know, throughout college, the ones that I got to meet, even on my sports in high school, I realized how good of an education a lot of those kids get, but the parents are prepared to do that for their kids.
Oh yeah.
Right now, the messages I'm getting from friends of mine and patients and other people is like, look, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to teach this. I don't know how to like get my kid to calm down. I'm like, and the reality is that it's overwhelming for a lot of people right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're like, you know what? Just go play your Xbox. Go play your PlayStation.
Yeah.
Go jump on your phone. Go jump on your tab. And they're using that as a babysitter.
Right.
So what kind of advice would you give to that?
So I do it every day, all the time here in the house. Typically, let's see where we're at here. The people can have some kind of comfy chair where they're gonna do their get on their device, even if it's the homework, even if it's the learning from school, and if they're online with their teacher. So they'll hop in a soft chair of some sort and put the laptop here, and here we go. You know, what's called a kyphotic spine position, the detriment to every level, but certainly right into the respiratory system problem. So here's the fixer-upper we do at our house constantly, and everybody could do this. I'm sorry, everybody could do this at home, right? Watch.
And so while Dom's getting that, I think this is really important to know that, you know, you've got so many tools inside your household right now that you can use to stay happy and healthy. Like that is the key.
Yeah, we got 5 kids in school in the house right now. So instead of the version we just had, you take the pillows. You know, here's how we build it up, right? You jam them in there. You get an extra one for the lumbar curve. Jam it in there, and you make the. Here's the key. Now tuck back there as far as you can, because the upper spine positioning begins with correcting the lower spine arch. We want a dramatized arch. Now what? How do you get your keys up here? We literally just go find whatever we can, put the device up here. Reading, computer, etc., and get them working up here.
Right? That is such a freaking awesome hack. I love that.
So the house, when my wife comes home, we take the decorative pillows and try to put them all over neatly and decorative again, because it's comfortable to come home to that. But usually after a good time of people reading, people watching a family movie, there's 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of pillows where everybody sat, where we all got up like that. Take one last one if it's a movie, kick your head back from it, and you can put that spine in a pretty functional position.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
now I want to tackle a couple different topics. If we got a couple minutes, is sport and athletes. You know, there's definitely a mental component to everybody that's going through quarantine right now. But the one reason that I wanted to get you on is I wanted to talk to you about a perspective from the dad whose daughter just lost a season. How she's dealing with it, how you're helping her cope with it, how, especially being a sports chiropractor, you know, what you're doing to speak with your athletes, like what is some of the biggest takeaways and pieces of advice that you can give these kids, these young kids, to her athletes, these amateurs and these pros from a chiropractic / doctor perspective on this whole scenario?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the positioning for yourself for success title, to me, just as much as it came for the working person, you know, corporate environment, it's for the athlete too. The athlete, obviously, they're training to succeed, they're training to win, but they don't know what the body position and mobility is supposed to be. Even with all the strength training they've had within their various levels of coaching for club, for school, even external training centers they add on, I seldom, if ever, hear the conversation about you're not moving right here. Your lines of most efficient positioning, like the skeletal chart says right there, physiologically efficient position, that's not attended to. And I can up their game and everything they've worked so hard to build in and complement their coaching, their strength coaching, and those inputs to a greater output. But we just, again, position the body for success. So what to do right now at home, I think, since everything's about like, now we're at home, we're working at home, we're learning at home, homeschooling, what are the athletes going to do? Now more than ever, learning body awareness. For me, for you and I, with ABP First and the program we're unfolding for that, the thing we want to leave them with is body awareness. Number one, the athletes need to have that it's kind of like in their bag, right? But their bag is here. How is your body supposed to work? Especially with volleyball, it's one of those ones where that applies across the board, thinking about that. But volleyball, beach volleyball, especially, they kind of take on their own training. They find their way to do it and they get after it. And there's a lot of collaboration and similarity, but they're very individualized. Like they know they have to train themselves. They don't get an MLB, contract just funding their gym time and their personal training. They usually have to build themselves. So they've always been a group that's been, what can I learn? What can I learn and apply myself? Every athlete, and for my whole theme of youth sports wellness, that I would love to continue to make widespread in my career time in the country, I think body awareness is a huge lack. And these kids, they're brilliant. They're learning all kinds of things that I don't even remember studying in the 3rd grade and beyond, right? They can learn about body awareness, right? And they can apply it. So right now, you can take the home exercises the athletes are given from their coaches, like my daughter here, and we have some talks about, well, how are you doing that? What muscles are you contracting? I don't know. You have to use getting that answer a lot. I don't know. Well, where do you feel it? Do you feel this? Do you feel that?
Feel, right? Function and feel is a key thing in how we go.
Yeah, you're connected to the parts. That's why the I don't know doesn't work in that. You're connected to parts, but you haven't tried to make that connection in a long time, right? If ever. Body awareness, that'd be one of the #1 things. So upgrade all of their training, their home training they're assigned to do right now by making it undo those seated effects we're talking about they've all been through all those years of school too, the 40 to 50 hours of patterning forward posture. I think they should all learn that for the spine, this is called flexion. This is called extension. Simply put, we need more extension in our life. I'm sure there's some exceptions here and there, but we're living in flexion. And you know what? When people go into most sports, there's maximum versions of extension required. I see athletes again and again have a hyperextension injury. A lot of times I think they just went to normal extension, not hyper, but it became hyper because they were so programmed for flexion.
Well, and also how to use their flexion, right? Like we can be stuck in flexion, but we can't be functional in flexion. So a lot of times in order to get that extension, the proper extension that you need, it's not that you need to strengthen your, extensors. It's the fact that you need to unlock and turn off the brakes of the flexion pattern so that way you actually know how to use the extension pattern, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, especially when we're working with our volleyball players or overhead athletes and, our people that really need that extension, that's a big key thing. So Dom, you're definitely an author within the Empowered Aging. They can find it on Amazon. What's your closing comments to everybody with obviously the quarantine? You and I are going to get back on. We can do some more diagnostic and like imaging type things for people to see like visuals. But if you had to say like your top 3 things to do right now in quarantine to stay, obviously in this position yourself for success, what are those 3 things?
Well, obviously, like you said, we focused on the value of body mechanics. So complete the thought there, make the setup, look at those images of how the skeleton is supposed to be shaped, what physiologically efficient position is, and get yourself there while you're on your laptop, while you're on your book, while you're on your conference call. If you have conference calls and you're not required, if this is a working person and they're required just to speak, get on the floor, on the back, open the body up, release the flexors, right? Open the body up, put the arch in place, etc., and so forth. So on that range, that realm, I would say that I think these are worth their weight in gold. Easy, they got to be good though. They got to be closed cell foam. So you do the same thing I just did with the pillows, but we have a much better chance for effective support when you have a shaped cushion here, bringing you up. That moves easily from the couch, from the.
I've got one for the cervical spine. I've got
kitchen chair,
like dinner rolls and.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, and I've had people say, I saw one for $14 at at Target, and I go, yeah, let me check it out. And what happens is they sell them in the shape, but they're open cell foam like a kitchen sponge. And they're like, will that do? I'm like, good for washing your car, So I mean, I love this guy Don at Back Hugger, my bad, Bodyline. My dad had these. I've seen these since I was growing up.
Yeah.
Small business wise, where I'm trying to support people now, I say, hey, you could probably find it shopping around on Amazon, but go to Bodyline, support a small business. This is the deal. I have limousine drivers driving thousands of miles per week, never wear them out. You know, I think the family should have these everywhere for all that and so forth. If they go to Bodyline and put in my number 2660, he'll give them a discount, 5% or something like that too. But I like to support the small business. That's why we're eating out a little bit now when we shouldn't, because we need to do something different. We're going to throw some money to our local restaurants. We want to have them keep going, you know. So there's that. The other ones in the top three, you know, you see me drinking water the whole time. Another subject we talk about, I'm drinking alkalized water now for about the last 6 months. Really, really cool topic, but at least get filtered water. Drinking half your body weight in ounces is a baseline. You know, there's variations of that. If you're doing more exertion, if you're a hotter, drier climate, more of that. But people are like, well, I try to get my 8 glasses a day or whatever. It's like, get a big jug and fill it so you know when you finish it, you've completed a volume, and it should be between meals. A body needs to cleanse right now, right? Burdening the body is putting us in the risk category. We want to position ourselves for success in this corona situation. We want to be in that fraction of 1% that are likely to not take on this virus successfully. We want to be in that small, the other way around. The 99% are taking it on. If you're strong and healthy, don't be in that 1%. Clean the body with clean water per day, right?
Yep.
Number 3, well, nutrients, right? And again, we could probably go into that in detail. Healthy gut bacteria, low sugar. There's an easy one. You don't need to go buy anything at the store differently, vitamin-wise. Cut the sugar. Flour products are sugar. Drinks that have sugar. Let's get the water, reduce the sugar environment. Why? Bacterial and viral situations thrive in sugary environment in the body, right? It also acidifies the body, which sets you up to host more illness, and it makes the immune system more sluggish. So position the body for success structurally. Water, at least half your body weight in ounces per day between meals. Number 3, cut the sugar. Look into the top nutrients for immune support. You and I both know we love certain companies. We can help people if they want to reach out and message us from here. I'll do digital office consult with people and dial things in for them and the family. Granted, because some people know this is going on, there's some back ordering, on things.
Some sold out stuff. So
it's not toilet paper.
Yeah, I know, right? It's actually gonna help you. Well, Dom, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much for taking time. I know you're practicing right now. Thanks for serving your community during this time, and looking forward to jumping back on with you in the next couple of weeks and then doing some more detailed stuff to help people out.
That's awesome. Appreciate the time too. Thanks for setting us up. God bless.
All right. Stay safe.
You too, of course.